This is an ordinary trident, a fairly useful item in the game. With it, you can swim quickly underwater and fly in the rain. It's convenient to launch with wings, and it also combines two types of combat, melee and ranged, as it serves as a replacement for both the sword and the bow with crossbow. You may have already wielded a trident, but I'm sure you've never thought about what it's made of. How is lightning summoned with a trident? What contributes to this? How are its enchantments structured? After all, one of them gives the player a speed boost, while another can summon the trident back to its owner from the other side of the world. And finally, who and when created the trident? By the time the player arrives, this weapon is in the hands of the drowned. Sit back comfortably, I'm Makus, and we're starting a Minecraft theory. First, let's figure out what it's made of. This is extremely necessary, so everything makes sense later on, so it's better to start with this. It's made of prismarine. I think there's no doubt about that. Its handle, which the player obviously holds, is made from prismarine bricks, or from its original texture, which is very similar in color. This is also supported by the fact that ordinary guardians are most likely made or covered in prismarine, and they are particularly vulnerable to this material. The trident, as some may not know, deals increased damage to aquatic creatures. And if you kill a guardian, it should only be done with a weapon made from the same material. And the tips. The 3 points of the trident are most likely made of prismarine crystals, and they are sharply pointed because they deal more damage than a diamond sword. By the way, the conclusion that the ends are made of sharpened crystals can be confirmed by the fact that developers like to make weapons that the player could craft from crystals. This can be confirmed by the same diamond sword, and most likely the prismarine trident is much stronger than the ones we find in mines. This all explains the weapon's damage. Now let's answer some questions about enchantments. In fact, enchantments for swords or bows are more understandable, unlike the trident. Take, for example, the channeling enchantment, where the player is literally given the ability to throw lightning at anyone. However, let's start with this. It might sound strange, but everything about the trident's operation with this enchantment can be explained through physics. So, lightning strikes a thrown trident only during thunderstorms. From real life, we know that clouds during bad weather are negatively charged, and the Earth is positively charged. Due to the difference in charges, electricity is generated. This is also aided by the humidity in the air that appears during rain. In Minecraft, also, technically, a thunderstorm cannot start without rain unless lightning is summoned through commands. Thus, we can understand that the trident is heavily influenced by the physics of the game, as well as by real-life logic. But then, how does lightning strike the trident's target? It's all about the enchantment. And perhaps channeling is the only enchantment that gives physical properties to the item, which we will try to explain now. So, the enchanted trident hits the mob, thereby replacing its charge with the opposite charge of the clouds, meaning positive. Due to the accumulation of enough charge, lightning strikes. In Minecraft, this happens instantly. Of course, the structure of the trident plays a significant role. After hitting the mob, it rapidly falls down, with its long part facing upward, which may also act as a receiver for this lightning. I think now you understand how channeling works. The properties of this enchantment lie in the instant transfer of charge to the mob, and that's it. Now, impaling is a kind of sharpness for a sword, but for the trident. You know, I thought about it, and I can explain one enchantment easily with another enchantment. However, this time, the physics is broken. But maybe that's how it should be, because that's magic. So we all know that water is a fairly dense medium, at least for humans. Because of this, we move slower in water than in air, just like all the things we throw. I think that the impaling enchantment breaks the water density around the trident, thus allowing it to reach its target with greater speed and deal maximum possible damage. Minecraft already has this enchantment, you are all familiar with it, and it's called Depth Strider. In turn, it accelerates the player underwater if they wear boots with this effect, speeding up movement on the seafloor and even swimming itself. So this is the same Depth Strider, but for the trident. Now, loyalty, a rather interesting enchantment. First of all, let me just say that this is not an enchantment that simply ties a rope to the trident. Well, because such ropes break quickly, even at short distances. And secondly, where have you seen a rope pulling items from a great distance through blocks? Nevertheless, it still finds its way back to its owner. The answer to the question lies in the name of the enchantment itself, loyalty. From this, we can learn that the trident is bound to its owner, and it returns not through an ordinary thread, but through a beam of light. For this, let's move to Bedrock Edition, the mobile version. In Java, it's not as clearly visible as here. After enchanting the trident, we'll probably fill the entire inventory, leaving no space, then throw the trident away and fill the last slot. After some time, we will observe how the trident, which has returned, starts flying around the player. Here we can closely examine this beam of light. By the way, it closely resembles the beam that deals damage from the Guardian. Let me remind you that in real life, prismarine doesn't exist. There's the concept of a prism. Most likely the name prismarine comes from the fact that it refracts light beams, changing their direction. Since the trident is made of prismarine, and the connecting element between the player and the trident is light, it's easy to conclude that light literally teleports the trident to the player, or transfers it with the speed of light to its owner. I think now this enchantment should leave no questions for you. And the last enchantment, which is probably one of the most effective on the trident, is Riptide. It's easy to explain, as it works on the principle of combining two previous enchantments, Loyalty and Impaling. First of all, it accelerates the player, or rather, it makes a burst in a given direction. This is from Impaling, as the water density becomes minimal and easily overcome, and that's why the player moves so quickly. Further, in the water, the trident with this enchantment uses water as fuel, regardless of whether it's falling from above or placed as a block. Thanks to Loyalty, the trident is strongly connected with the player, and it doesn't slip out of the character's hands during fast movements. And the particles in the form of spirals that arise nearby, I honestly don't know what they are. There are two versions, and I leave them for you to choose. Both are plausible. So, the first one is, these are water particles, which create an aura as water is used during such movement. Or it's light that refracts the trident when it covers a large distance, since it's made of prismarine. What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments. We've already looked at all the properties of the trident and fully understand how it works. However, one important question remains open. Who made it? Let's start with the location of the trident. Of course, it would be more logical if there was one trident for each underwater temple, because descending underwater for 8 blocks of gold and a couple of wet sponges isn't very desirable. But still, at the moment, they drop exclusively from drowned mobs. It's hard to say if they belong to the very first ancient civilization that built cities underwater before the flood, or to the second one, which sailed across these very oceans on ships. You can speculate endlessly, but both groups ended up on the ocean floor. With confidence, we can say that in the past, these were Steve's. This is where we have knowledge and the ability to wield the trident. But I'm going to risk putting forward my theory, backed by several facts. So, many of you probably think that this structure is something foreign and extraterrestrial, that it appeared here a long time ago but was never built here. And this is indeed the case. Prismarine, other than in the underwater fortress and ruins, cannot be found anywhere else in Minecraft. However, I can confidently say that when this structure appeared in the Minecraft world, there was no water at that time. This is easy to understand. In the ruins, you can sometimes find a prismarine lantern and very rarely the prismarine itself. This means it was used as a light source before these areas were flooded. Now, the trident, which is made of alien materials, raises the question, was it made on the Minecraft planet or far away from it? Most likely, this is an invention of an ancient race, the people who lived before the player. The fact that people before the flooding frequently took the prismarine material is confirmed by its presence in the ruins. So why didn't they take this material again and create a weapon that dealt much better with the Guardians? And, as I mentioned earlier, killing them with their own weapon, rather a weapon made from the same material. According to my theory about sunken ships, you can see the link on the screen, you can learn that they ended up at the bottom not because of anyone else but because of the Guardians. People got tired of their ships with cargo being sunk by sea creatures and their gold being taken to the fortress, and they started hunting them. By the way, this also supports the idea that Guardians are no longer found except around the fortress. Thus, we can conclude that the trident is definitely made of alien materials, but it was crafted by humans, as the enchantments placed on it are known to Steve. And the fact that people descended to the ocean floor can be proven by the presence of sponges in the fortress. Perhaps you hadn't realized before how closely the Trident is tied to the history of the Minecraft world. But after watching this video, you've learned a little more about Minecraft. This concludes my theory. Rate and like it if you agree with it, and if not, write your version in the comments. I'd be interested to read it. Also, subscribe to the channel because there's a lot of interesting Minecraft content here. Well, I'm saying goodbye. Marcus was with you. Good luck to all. Bye-bye to all.